time around. Basically, as part of my efforts to try to bring coverage to certain competitions and things going on in the gloving community, I want to try to do that again with Snaps' current competition that he has going on for the online competition called Anthologies.
Yes, Anthology. This is volume 1, but it's titled Anthology.
Yeah, so I guess what we're going to just pretty much do is just record our live reactions and kind of have that as the form of content. But before we do any of that, I want Dustin, go ahead and do a quick breakdown or a synopsis of like what this competition is about, like the idea of it, the structure of it, and pretty much what we're going to be seeing through this little mini series that we have going on.
So, what Anthology is, the basis of this competition in my eyes. So one, it's a storytelling competition, right? But like the big thing that I could use for anyone else to like really relate to it is the movie Black Mirror Bandersnatch, right? It's the idea of a choose your own adventure. And I kind of set up a competition in a way that acts as a choose your own adventure story, where the playlists change based on what songs you change, and you're only given X amount of choices each round. And that's all it really is. You know, it's the illusion of free choice in order to end at a particular point, but then competitors are given the task at telling whatever story they want given the song they choose. And by the end of the whole competition, they would have an entire story when you watch all of their videos back to back. That's like pretty much the idea. It's a test of storytelling and creativity for someone.
All right, and of course, you know, what better way to have this kind of coverage than to have somebody who speaks about storytelling is probably the most within the gloving community, and having our good friend Josh, aka Steamboy, on deck as well to give us his perception and reception of each individual show as well.
But Josh is judging this competition with me. Too. Yeah. So I mean, I can't do this competition without him.
Yeah. So I definitely like the idea that we are trying to really explore and delve into the idea of storytelling and bring that about. So I pretty much say, without further ado, I guess we go into our first watch, which is Seismic.
Yep.
Yeah, I got Seismic on here, so I say without further ado, let's go ahead and get this ball on the road.
I think his video's a little quiet. How did you feel about that, Peter?
Well, as somebody who's not being the judge on this particular case, I find it interesting. Is there a certain challenge, or like a certain stipulation within this challenge, or is it just like an artistic choice? Because I noticed he didn't have his eyes open at all during that entire performance.
So, Dustin, do you want to answer this, or should I?
You can answer it.
Yeah. So that was what I believe to be, and I'm like almost 100% positive, like an artistic choice, because his based on his kind of like round zero video, this is like
Also, go back and take a look at his quote in the description.
Right. He kind of has this story basically where he's kind of hopping in and out of dreams. So for him, that was most definitely like an artistic choice. It's one that Dustin and I found very interesting in like our ultimate decisions when we came to his scores, right? Dustin, how deep do we want to get into stuff like that?
I mean, I don't think we need to like divulge scores necessarily. I think we can just talk about our like thoughts on it.
Yeah, things that kind of like stuck out to me. I just thought it was interesting that his eyes were closed the entire time, and his shot was like well framed, and he managed to stay with like he knew where his center was. Like, I would think if you keep your eyes closed, that you eventually would start to drift off because you're not physically able to have a frame of reference. You're literally trying to go off of your other senses. So I thought that was interesting. The other thing is, well, having that kind of sense removed from him, I felt like he was able to hit much more subtler notes throughout his show. So I thought that was interesting as well. And one of the reasons why I didn't like say anything during his show is because I'm like, okay, this is there's a lot of subtle notes within this song, so I want to make sure people can actually hear what I'm hearing while seeing that at the same time. So yeah, very interesting show.
Well, go ahead and take a look back. If you look back at his video, every competitor has the option to put something in the description of their video, right?
Yes. So here it says, yet it is in our idleness, in our dreams, that the submerged truth comes to the top. Virginia Woolf. It's the quote.
Yeah, so the for people who haven't watched it, I would recommend watching it. You could find it on GL or whatever. But his origin, right? The basis of where this is all starting, his character basically, the whole intro scene is him coming home from a day of work, you know, saying hi to his dog, and then going to sleep. And then when he's asleep, the light show starts. And it's like this, you know, it's this person with a mask on, so on and so forth. And then he wakes up at the end of the show very abruptly, right? So we are given the information that, like Josh said, that his character is hopping in and out of dreams as part of what's going on. So that's something that we take into account for. When I watched his round one, I was given the idea that he is setting up for something big. Like, this video is still part of him introducing a character, which is great, which is still like good. Whether or not that scored well on our card, I mean, that's a risk that he took in terms of like the light show itself to score well. But we're not gonna go into scores specifically, but I think he's setting up for something really big.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what he decides to do with it. That's the other thing I kind of wanted to touch on, is that like, at least for someone like me, right? Like, if we're trying to treat like each participant's like kind of story kind of like a mini series, right? Because of like the nature of a mini series, where like a 6-episode mini series, like each episode kind of has to slap. At least for someone like me, I want to see something that within every video, like it's like it does, like each individual video kind of stand on its own, regardless of like the overall like cohesiveness of it. But also here, it's like Dustin said, I'm very curious to see what Seismic does going forward, because sometimes like that big kind of like like the big payoff at the end like could be worth it. Like it could be worth the money basically. So I'm very curious to see what he does.
Yeah. Before we get into Juddy's, Peter, have you seen Juddy's Round Zero?
I did watch the Round Zeros, but I just don't remember them off the top of my head. So
The general premise of Juddy's Round Zero is that his character has some kind of alien that infested his character. That's all you really need to know.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be just very curious to kind of just see how these shows, if you cut them all together, so it's like one.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
I'm actually very excited to see how this all turns out.
It's gonna be sweet.
But I also see the importance of actually having this kind of coverage like that I'm doing here right now for a lot of the competitors and the audience members to just kind of have that little delving within the judges' thoughts. Especially now that I kind of like the idea of just not doing like who won, who's moving to the next round kind of thing. It's just like all that stuff is out. It's just get your guys' thoughts, and yeah, I like it. So
yeah, the whole idea of this was that there's no like winner or loser each round, right?
Right.
Like your points only decide if you get prizes or not. That's not important. That's literally unimportant. If you only wanted to be part of this in order to like win something,
that's not for you.
Then it's not for you. Like this is supposed to be you challenging yourself and you enjoying an experience that I put together for you guys.
Yeah, I definitely like that idea. So, but I will certainly say I am excited to see what Juddy comes up with, man. You know, he does some crazy things. But without further ado, let's go ahead and let's see what do you got. Okay.
I love the take that Jetty's like going for. It's very
I definitely get this. What's the game called? Destroy All Humans.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
right,
that's what
right.
it's called. God, okay. This is a game that I had a lot of friends that were like really into, and I don't even remember. This came out like high school, maybe junior high as earliest. I can't really remember. It's been so long.
Xbox PS2 era, right?
Definitely. And I just remember them just being huge fans of it because of just the insanity that goes into it.
Yeah.
Dustin, what are your thoughts, man?
So I really liked when I watched it the first time, right? His intro, is what his intro is symbolizing is like either this parasite attacking, like it's likely the parasite is attacking like the brain, right? The blue and reds, because if you guys paid attention to the intro, it's it's a double going on, but that doesn't affect their main light show, right? Like that's how I set up the rules. They could do whatever as long as there's a primary single person light show, traditional light show in the middle, or whatever point there's a primary one that takes up a bulk of their video. And it's really interesting how he used that to represent this parasite attacking his brain or whatever it may be, right? And then we get into his show and he's blindfolded this time as opposed to Seismic's eyes closed, which I thought was interesting. And no, it was just really neat. Like,
Yeah, it was cool to see like similar like visual like motifs being used for like different purposes, right? Yeah, I thought that was very neat.
I like seeing more of these ambitious undertakings of actually trying out different like video editing techniques, and actually like not just being like, let me put like this little cut, intro card cut into my video, exit, the very light stuff like I'm very used to doing with my videos. I actually like seeing people actually trying out just more off the wall ideas, and they're actually like putting the effort. I'm actually very surprised considering the audio with how he did a lot of the animatronics to things. I thought that was kind of clever. So yeah, Juddy, I have to give you kudos on that, man.
It is sweet. His idea going on is really sweet. It's
Yeah,
a very,
for sure.
very neat idea.
Yeah, I already like this idea of where people are going with their narratives, I guess is the word I'll use.
Yeah.
And how they construct it. So definitely going to be very
Did you
excited
read
to see
his
the final product. Oh yes, I did.
It's a mess, dude. Because
I looked through it and saw it. I was like,
it's a mess.
what
Dude.
I totally get it too. I
I
definitely
understand.
yeah, no, I'll definitely have this cut like post-production so the audience can see what I'm seeing, but yeah, no, it's like it's crazy. I'm just like, okay, dude, like I like the high concept. I like this conceptualization that people are going with. So
Mm-hmm.
and that's all I want to see is more.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like this is what I wanted to do for people, because this is a competition that I would love to participate in, right? Like, in terms of how I want to tell narrative, right? Tell stories and stuff. The way this is laid out is exactly how I want to tell stories.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that one. So I think without further ado, we can go on with I don't know actually how she's supposed to pronounce this, but I'm going to guess philosophy.
I think it's philosophy.
Philosophy. I get it. Like I get the idea behind it. So
You get the wordplay.
yes, I like wordplay. Wordplay is good. So, but without further ado, let's see what you got.
Tell me what you got.
Yeah, Rick and Morty reference. Also, the intro is a little long, so I can explain this really quick. But the premise of her story is, in very few terms, like a heartbroken girl, right? Like, boyfriend just broke up with her, so on and so forth. So it's like it's not like an action-packed story. It's more of a, like, I guess, like self-realization story, from what I'm understanding.
Yeah, I love this opening.
What's on my mind? Quit the smoke that's left me blind. Cause you and I both know I cannot lie. So I talk more than I can chew, but my lip is laced with truth. Cause you and I both know I cannot lie. They say we were nowhere like this. If it's the darkness you can't resist, I'll be there. Hard
Okay. That was interesting. But one of the things I would certainly say, just from my point of view, it makes more sense like how she had her opening now after having that context.
Yeah.
And I couldn't just help but feel like there was more of like this contemporary approach to the show, if that makes any sense.
Almost had like a interpretive dance, almost. Like
Yeah, but I feel like it's more contemporary in the context of like what contemporary dance is about. And
Oh,
they like
sure.
their
Yeah,
shapes. They like their shapes and their movements because of how strong of an emotion they can actually convey, and that's kind of the vibe I was getting from her show. It was like this conveyance between her specific shapes and specific movements that she was doing. Definitely conveyed something. I was just like, you know, this has a contemporary vibe to it. I'm totally on board to see where this goes.
Yeah, like you know, I can tell that she is still pretty new with gloving, but she is still approaching this in whatever way she wants to, which is fine, which is great, you know, because you know the last thing that I want to do is ever like deter anyone from wanting to participate in something, right? Like I don't ever want to give a person a reason or make them feel bad for whatever reason to do that. So it's great that she's taking this in a way to tackle something, maybe. I mean, I don't know, because of how, I guess, realistic the premise of her story is. Like, maybe it's something that she's choosing to tackle through gloving, which is awesome, right? But that's what my take is on this.
Yeah, it's cool as someone who's does a lot of like narrative that's like definitely like more like pulp fantasy or sci-fi. Like it's cool to see someone try to tell like a story that's more based on like grounded human experiences, right? And also, if anything, I kind of admire her the most out of some of the competitors, out of all the competitors in the competition, because she is new, but she's also like putting in everything she's got. It's really cool to see. Like I'm very curious to see what her last show for the project is going to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so if you're watching, Sophie, we like what we see, and we want to see more. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's all about that journey.
Absolutely.
So now we have
Zealzybub.
Thank you, and it's no offense, dude. I just suck at pronouncing names. I'm the butcher of names, the defiler of cultural heritage. like I suck.
Peter can't read. He can't read, bro.
I mean, I said I don't. Well, honestly,
We established this. Glovers don't read, so
Yeah, Glovers don't read.
Well, no,
Glovers don't
I
read.
honestly don't recall if I ever
read a book.
No, admitted on this podcast that I had to go to speech therapy class.
Holy shit.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, like at a very young age, I went to speech therapy class. And it's funny too because my older brother's daughter has to go to the speech therapy class, and he was very upset by this. It's like, I can't believe she has to go. You know, she knows how to talk. And it's like, Mark, I went to speech therapy class. It's actually very common for children to go. It's just a couple letters sort of sometimes hard to pronounce. Mine was L for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh man, and his L is in like a really weird place in the name.
Yeah, so that's where I'm like, oh, I'm going to butcher this name so bad. So don't be mad at me. It's who I am.
Every Glover that has an L in their name is Peter's worst enemy.
Yeah.
Every
pretty much, but all right.
Every single one.
Well, without further ado, let's see what Zealzybub has.
I could feel your soul dying when you said that.
Yeah. Show us what you got, my guy.
Oh, my head is aching. Where am I? Whoa, what just happened? Jeez,
Also, his context is like post-apocalyptic
I have no control
scenario.
over what's going on. What?
That is what we were left with.
Have I been hypnotized? Is this some sort of mind control? What? I know I was What? Jeez.
If I could thrill you with what I have seen, the crippled pieces would step out into a dream. But if I could turn back and undo the seams, malice comes in waves and goes right back into the sea. All this I feel, only seeing the villain, filling in threes, shifting, cast that spell of yours to bring you what you need. Malice comes in waves and goes right back into the sea. Watch the pieces like coward from erasing in my brain. Step out the shadows, light the candle, enchant the afraid. For years my reflection had held me down and struck me hard. What I think of the villain, I'll come back to heart, but it's me sitting there, steady, chilling. Malice comes in waves and goes right back into the sea. But if I could turn back and undo the seams, malice comes in waves and goes right back into the sea.
Okay, so I think this was actually a very clever show in my opinion. Mostly just because he took his environment and utilized it to his advantage, and made his colors really pop. Now I'm sure there was like some post-production work on that to help make it pop a little bit more extra, but
I think it's just the iPhone, bro. He uses an iPhone. Yeah, it's just the iPhone, bro. The quality on the new one is insane.
yeah, so if it's just like built-in effects that the camera is doing, holy crap, because those colors were huge. Another thing is as well is I honestly feel like he can take a page or two out of Josh's book when it comes to his flail dynamics and other dynamic movesets like that, because he clearly knows what flash patterns he wants to use, and I feel like he really had a good idea with what flash patterns he was using for those high dynamic movesets, especially towards the end.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to see more of that. It's just like, is it wrong to me to sit there and be like, I want more of this?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like what he presented, you know, it was a good light show. But one thing that I felt was it was like the narrative was like, if at least when I watched it, it was like a little lacking, if not present at all, because it kind of just felt like a light show, which is it's a light show, it's a good light show. But I mean, I'm curious to see how he carries on from this point, right? Because where we left off with his last one, he had a whole set design, and he had. So when I talked to Matt, he actually said that he didn't have a lot of time to work on his intro. That's why it felt like it was rushed. Because his first intro was like him getting on a scooter and like riding into town. There's like nobody there, maybe one or two cars. He runs into town, grabs supplies, and goes back to like a laboratory or like a hideout spot. So he does like this whole thing for his origin. And then now we are left with him gloving in the snow. His intro is him going to the airport. So yeah, I'm more so curious to see how he takes it from here.
Yeah, I see the ideas, and I see where he's trying to go with it. Is it a little bit more of a bigger project that feels like on the scale of something that like needs multiple people for him to pull it off? Probably, but I don't know. I'll leave that to Josh, since Josh has the film experience.
I mean, I feel like for him, like the biggest thing he has going for him is that it is clear, right? And I actually talked to him briefly yesterday because he was like looking for some pointers. And the biggest like takeaway that I got after going over his videos, like based on like the way he's doing his production, he's definitely someone who's interested in this realm of like gloving, right? Like kind of this like more narrative driven, like cinematic, like part of what gloving could be. And the fact that he's done all of this on his own, like without any sort of like real guidance thus far, is like awesome. I'm more curious to see after a couple of rounds what he actually ends up doing, because like I started like basically telling him like things that like I wish someone told me when I was first starting, right? Like I wish someone was more like clear cut, like this is why this works, and this is how you should go about things, rather than like having to muddle through it for a couple of years. So I'm very curious to see how things end up. I will say that, I mean, Dustin, do you feel like for him, like so far his entry 0 and round 1, like how connected do you feel that those two are?
Honestly, right now, not at all. If I'm being honest.
No, that's fine, and that's the thing though, right? Is like I'm kind of okay with that. Like if he kind of does like, I don't know what his plans are. Right?
If he well, like obviously I don't want this to skew. I don't want to say too much because I don't want it to skew how they may interpret the rest of the competition on their own. But yeah, I'll leave my points at that, because I don't want to affect, because if they do watch this, which it is likely that they all will.
Yeah.
I don't want it to skew their decisions in the future, because I want this experience to be as organic and as unaffected by outside sources as possible. It's an experiment. I like doing experiments on people, bro. I like seeing
all right, Mr. Experimenter. You can do that. I'm just gonna leave it off with this, like, cause I mean, in my opinion, what I'm about to say next is one of those things where it's like I'm pretty sure like you could take it either way, right? I don't like, because I'm only speculating as to what's coming next, really.
Yeah.
And it's like either one of two things: either it's a story that does gradually build up and like the dots start to connect, or Beelzebub's like videos are all more self-contained, like within themselves, like its own anthology, right? Whatever way it goes.
Yeah,
you're right. Whatever way it goes, because like I said, like if you have like a overarching narrative that really truly connects, that's really cool. Like I'm all about that, right? But also each video, for whatever reason, should stand on its own, regardless of whether it's all connected or not. But I don't know what he plans to do. But whatever it does, like I'm curious to see what it gonna be within the next, I would say even 2 rounds.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, there's only 3 rounds left.
Right. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I certainly say I'm just kind of interested to see where he goes next with it.
And that's the point.
Yeah. So just let's see what happens next.
Well, yeah. Before we get into Blizz's context is actually very important.
Okay, let's do that before we watch it.
Do we want to just watch his round 0?
Well, no, I figure you can give like
I'll
context
give
for it to.
So the context, his character is some kind of like wandering swordsman or samurai, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something of that nature. And he either was fighting his rival and was left to die, or he was betrayed and left to die, right? So the premise is samurai left to die, he doesn't die, right? That's like where it is. Like his origin video was great. Like he like gets up wounded and throws his show and then he walks away, right? Like that's it. So that's all the context that we need to get into round 1. I'll tell you right now, his intro is purposely muted and it's like 45 seconds, just letting you know.
Okay, good to know. So without further ado, let's just show us what you got. Definitely getting the Forbidden Kingdom vibes, like in storytelling kung fu movies.
It's a very interesting artistic choice to like keep it silent. I think it works. A lot of people did pick this song.
Okay.
It was great. It was good.
So I definitely, if I were to interpret this, I feel like we were at the moment in this kind of story, very, very reminiscent of like all those classic Eastern philosophy kind of Journey to the West style stories where the person wakes up after being injured, is miraculously healed, they grab their stuff to leave to kind of go on a journey, and they're kind of like recuperating and
Man, Rick
training.
Grimes, episode 1. Rick Grimes. That's the vibe I got immediately. Like he woke up looking pissed.
I get it.
But yeah, no, it's great because this is an example of his origin story and his round 1 being directly connected. Like they're being directly connected, and you see character development within this one episode, right? Within this one video, you see character development. He lays down the sword. He's choosing a path of not fighting with the sword anymore.
Right.
There's a a movie on YouTube that I haven't got a chance to watch yet that had caught my attention. It kind of reminds me of the synopsis I read on it, called The Swordsman, where it's basically a very well-renowned swordsman in the highest guard of the emperor, betrayed. Now he kind of like puts everything away because of like his crisis of self within the understanding of like why people would do the things they did to him, kind of moment.
Yeah. If anything, I'm very curious, and I kind of want to ask what his influences are, because I know for when I did Fable, right, one of my biggest influences was like old John Woo movies, right? Like Hard Boiled, The Killer, Better Tomorrow 1 and 2. So yeah, I'm really curious to see. And also, like, if anything, watching his made me kind of the most nostalgic of my time, like, doing those videos. So, like, this was definitely one of my personal favorites. Like, if I remove myself, like, as, like, what's the word for it? I was going to say not only a judge, but someone who has to be, like, impartial, right? But on a very personal side, this was one of my favorites. I will say one thing, and this is not just Blizz's video, there was several other people that I would also give this advice to, might want to like literally just have like the world's like softest like front light, because I felt it was a little too dark at points to get some of the stuff across. Literally just a 1 or 2 stops, maybe even a half stop, just a little something going forward. I know why a lot of Glovers are adverse to that, right? Because like you really do, at the end of the day, you really do want the lights to pop. But I think if we look at someone like Puppet's like recent like project videos, like you can still have something that is more traditionally lit and still have a compelling show,
Yeah, I agree on that.
I'm not saying go full Puppet and like do like full on like cinematic lighting, but I think just like a little hint of a front light would have just added to the experience a little bit, personally.
Everyone just become Puppet. Easy.
Yeah, basically, I would certainly say, like, to me, maybe this is kind of like the what I always like to call 1 part perception, 2 parts interpretation of art. Seeing it be that dark, it's kind of like more of the inward journey of starting from, like in the beginning it was always dark, and then he has to like find his way out by finding the light.
Read Blizz's description. Read Blizz's description.
Yeah, I actually did. It was kind of interesting because it's like you thought you were strong, but now you're gonna start over, and so like that's kind of the idea. So this is something I call the Han Solo debacle, or the Han Solo debate, as a lot of people refer to it. Who shot first, right? And it's people's interpretation of what they saw in the film that makes them either say that he shot first, making him a cold-blooded killer, or he shot second to defend himself, right? And now you have such 2 wildly different interpretations of the character that people can latch onto. That's kind of where like I'm saying, like, I understand your point of view with the light, and I do I do agree with most of it, but I also see like the artistic interpretation of that being like this might be like intentional. But again, that's the interpretation of the viewer as myself. You know what I mean?
No, I get where you're coming from, but like also I don't know, like for me, like
It's a quality thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like I get the intention, but it's more of like a quality of execution thing. And again, it's like I'm not really knocking him or anything like that, because I do understand the technical problem, right? Like lighting for light shows is one of the most unnecessarily difficult things that we have to deal with, right? So I'm not really even knocking him. It's more of like a suggestion, like something worth trying, right?
Yeah, and I mean, even to this day, I'm just as inconsistent with it, so I definitely understand. But okay, before we jump onto emotives, do you want to give a quick premise on it?
Emotive's character is a being that is made of sound. That is the premise. Some kind of extraterrestrial being that is made of sound. I will say there is a trigger warning right now because there is what is it? What's the word?
Like concepts of suicide ideation,
Concepts of suicidal ideation in it, but it's not like, as far as I know, Jacob is fine. I've talked to him, but I think he did it as an artistic choice for his character. But let's just watch it.
Yeah, I definitely.
And you're gonna love it, Peter. Could you guess what song he's gonna do?
Yeah, I wonder. I really do wonder. Just like looking at what I'm seeing on the screen, you know. I wonder what song I'm gonna hear. But without further ado, Emotive, show us what you got.
and it's important to read his little blurb as well in the description.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pull that up real quick. But I also see like his approach to touching on that kind of sensitive topic, and not go. I don't want to say like insensitive, but there was a very purposeful way of portraying it, and so it makes me understand it. Like, okay, I see how you did it artistically, and not just shock value, you know. So I felt like he touched it with finesse. Let's see.
Absolutely.
Since I'm not an impromptu actor, I re-recorded this part so it didn't sound so jumbled up as I did it when I did the recording initially. So, here goes. When a being composed of pure sound learns to tap into an innate ability to harness texture, they find themselves leaning towards anything that would crunch. The crinkly, crackly, and crispy wood. Well, I guess you could say light them up. And the crinkler, crackler, and crispier, the better. So surprisingly enough, there is nothing better than a bond. The way they would break.
So like the idea, I think, like from my perspective, is his character is learning, right? This is like how philosophy, right? Her premise may be self-realization and like growth within a human being, right? This is like on the fiction side of like a being that is made of sound, and they are learning about sounds and themselves, right? This is a coming of age, except it's a person learning about like their body but in a different way, right? Like this is them learning sounds that their body makes.
I would say, like, for me, the like how I said with Philosophy's show, like, right, she had a very contemporary approach to it, and this contemporary dance often gets used to talk about these very sensitive subjects, and it's because it's like me when it comes to certain subjects like that, not talking about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist anymore. So I'm always the type of person who's going to be open to the idea of we should have a place and a space to talk about this free of judgment, so we can actually like work through it.
Okay.
But I also just highly appreciate the poignant way he approached it. It definitely gave me the contemporary dance style that they tend to use with shapes and movements, and he definitely wanted to show very particular way of conveying something. So I also really liked his movements as well, because it definitely felt like what sound would look like in dance. So
I will say that I think Emotive, out of everyone that is participating in this, is probably the biggest risk taker in terms of their movements.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and also
the biggest risk taker.
He's also like coming from a fairly different background, right? Like he does a lot of like liquid dancing, and I mean it's clear even from
tutting.
like and tutting, and like I mean it's even clear from like the first like couple seconds, right? And like when the song really hits, like for the first time, like yeah, like I mean I keep saying this, but it's because it's true. I'm very curious to see where it's gonna go from here.
Especially since his character quite literally killed himself.
Right.
Unless you didn't, but that's for us to see.
yeah, so I definitely wanted to see. I kind of there are certain things that I feel like when it comes to some of these competitors, just watching from their first round, there's certain ones that definitely want to talk about something that's very personal to them, and it's something that either they face or they have struggled with, and I'm definitely a person who will support the idea of having people be able to tell their stories. So definitely I kind of want to commend the competitors who actually took this opportunity to actually like talk about something personal. You know, not a lot of people will do it. You know,
It's
No, I totally agree. It's why I'm really excited for Aaron Yeager. I mean, Mike Cheatham's video.
dude. No, we'll get to that.
Get there.
yeah, before we watch this one though, is there a quick little premise you want to
It's not
drop?
quick. It's not quick.
That one's a bit.
So the beginning, right? His character, his first character is effectively like a bounty hunter, right? His origin was a bounty hunter type of deal. He would take up bounties and go kill vampires or whatever. Literally, his whole first video was like, I found a vampire, I took a bounty on, and I'm gonna kill him. I cut his head off. Like that is introduction to who this character is.
You know what? And I think that actually works perfectly.
Mike's so like to maintain as an unbiased opinion as possible, I have to detach any feeling that I have towards people and song choice and whatever. But this show is by far my favorite from this entire round for multitude of reasons. Okay. The representation is exactly what I expected for this song, as well as this song that he chose was the very first song that started the entire process of me putting together this entire comp. This is the song that I heard and I was like, this is what I have to do.
Okay, good to know.
We'll read his blurb after, because it's actually like a 2-page essay, but
oh my god.
It's great. But yeah. This is the boy.
Yeah, well, without further ado, let's go ahead and give this a good show. Okay.
Yeah, boy.
Okay. So just for me, is it wrong to say I get like Helsing vibes from that?
No, that's
so.
like that's
Yeah.
actually exactly what you should be.
Okay, because I felt like I was watching an episode of Helsing and I was like, damn.
Yeah, the literally the first his origin video, he was wearing a fucking Helsing shirt, like it said like Vampire Slayer of Helsing or something, and his whole thing was like he is hunting a monster, like.
And I didn't see his origin video, so that's even more. How to put it? It's really cool that I actually was able to pick up on that, even though he had nothing. Like he wasn't wearing anything to like give that away. It's literally how he presented his movements and things like that in that show that gave me that kind of vibe. Now, granted, having the precursor that like he was hunting a vampire, like kind of that jumps right to that point. But I thought like specifically like the show Helsing, if he was wearing that shirt on his intro video, like okay, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I have no words about Mike's video. You just need to read his thing, dude. Spoiler alert, if anyone hasn't caught up on Attack on Titan or know what it's about, this is literally the plot of Attack on Titan. And Mike is Aaron Yeager. Like, have you watched Attack on Titan, Peter?
Yes, I've seen it, but I didn't watch all of it. And
are you cool if I tell you about this, or would you rather
go
just?
Ahead. Yeah, no, that's
Spoiler
fine.
warning right here.
Yeah, I will literally
warning.
say spoiler warning. Cut to point. Go to this point here.
Yeah. So basically, in Attack on Titan, right? There's a point where Eren figures out, right? Like, there's a point where he figures out that the Titan that he has control of, the Attack Titan, is a Titan that can control time. Basically, he can control the timelines, and he can go when he has the Attack Titan, and then there's another Titan that he needs to have. He can go to like this place which is called the Paths, and when you're there, it looks like a big desert with a twinkly sky in the like, and all you see is a bunch of paths all diverging on each other, and it's all the timelines of everybody, right? Like, if I'm sure if you find a picture of like Eren at the Paths or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you literally look at Eren at the Paths, he's in a desert, and in the middle is a giant tree that's just like light, and it branches out at the top. And this is where everyone's timelines come together. Right? I think you misspelled Eren.
I probably
Yeah, you gotta spell Aaron with an E, not an I.
Yeah, E-R-E.
Oh.
This one's for Ricky. If you watch this, E-R. He'll get it. He'll hear this and be like, "Bro, what the hell?" Yeah, you see the tree. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like the literal imagery that I got. And like, notice.
The thing is, he didn't even notice. He didn't even think about it until we mentioned it to him, and he was like, "No."
He was like, "No." I sent him the picture. I sent him the picture of Eren when he puts on the coat and his like 15 pack is showing.
Right.
And I was like, "Mike, you have to do this in your next video, right?" And he's like, "I might have to."
He's gonna have to do this. Do the next show.
What happened to not influencing the competitors, bro?
Mine was a meme. Mine was not real.
So memes are acceptable.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because it's a meme.
Okay, bro.
But yeah, I thought it was funny when I read that. I was like, dude, you're literally just stealing the plot for Attack on Titan.
All right. Well, Josh, what are your thoughts on that?
I got nothing really. Well, I got a couple more things. Like, for one thing, I loved his setup, right? Like his actual like light setup. Like, I haven't seen a setup like that before, or maybe I have, but I just don't remember. But it was a crazy setup. Like that moment where he literally just flashes like his ring and his pinkies just for like the this. For the LED animation. Like, that shit was nuts. And also when he does the color change at the end to signify like the transformation, like That was nuts. It's all nuts. If anything, I think his video kind of out of, like, for example, like I think Blizz's video kind of was my favorite, like kind of like narrative, right? Like his expression of the narrative element. But Outlaw's video for me was like my favorite expression of theatrics, because to get theatrics like really, really right in gloving, right, you have to like seamlessly make the theatric and like the traditional techniques like blend so well that the lines are kind of blurred, right?
Right.
Kind of breaking from your gloving character and going into your narrative character.
Right, like if you aren't as precise with it, it kind of like you would see like these clear breaks, like, oh, he's gloving now, oh, he's doing a theatric now. But when you get it right, like when you really hit it, like those lines are blurred, and that was what that was for me when I saw like
most
Outlaw's
of the
video.
show was like the gloving is the theatrics, you know.
Right.
The third drop, right? He literally grabs the swords off of his back and then cuts with his thumbs, because the thumbs are to signify the blades.
And you see his fucking face too, right?
Yeah, like
his fucking rage face. I'm like, oh, he's going Titan.
He did not break character because his gloving and his narrative character are the same person in this.
Right. Also, it was really cool to see some Fable nods too, which I appreciate. Like, I thought that was fun.
Yeah. The other thing is as well, I thought it was really interesting seeing how Outlaw really like his finger placement and his finger movements and hand movements was purposeful to really highlight the colors that he had on his fingers. So he was actually really like playing with the perspective to really highlight the colors as well. So I thought that was really good. I also really liked that he changed the lights at the end as well, because we don't get enough of that.
I mean, like that is like a big sign. Honestly, like, that's something big for us to see in the next round.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So, but to everybody else, that is pretty much all of our videos. That is pretty much all of Anthology Round 1. Of course, nobody's getting eliminated this round. We're definitely going to see how those turn out. You guys already got the scores out and everything?
Yeah. And Peter, in the description for this video, could you put links to each person's video?
Oh yeah, no,
So
I was gonna say, if you have a playlist and everything already set up, I'll link all that stuff. Round 0 and round 1 will be.
I don't have playlists for round 0 or 1 yet, but if you need me to get that to you,
if you set it up as a playlist, let's do it. Like it'll work. But yeah, no, for the audience, you will find all the links that you need to watch any of the videos. All that stuff will be down in the description below. Everybody's socials is going to be down in the description below. Of course, you're going to find everybody on Instagram or Facebook, or on YouTube, because we're all on YouTube. That's what we do. But is there any other parting notes you guys want to say in terms of to your competitors and to the audience?
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that's participating so far in watching, as well as in the actual competition itself. I'm really excited to see where everyone else takes their stories.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
I know. Oops, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, I don't know, I'm excited to see it already. So, Josh.
Yeah, I know. I already set this in the Anthology Facebook page, but if you guys want to talk about your previous videos in more depth, or if you are kind of looking for some guidance for upcoming stuff, I'm not going to tell you if you just come with a question what should I do, I'm just gonna ignore you, right? But if you come with specific questions hey, I'm kind of planning to do this and I want to do it this way from a production standpoint and this way from a technical standpoint, what do you think? I will be more than happy to try to lend at least my mentality on what's going on, because one thing I do want to see is these videos getting crazier and crazier from everyone. I'm really excited to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see. All the links will be down in the description. Of course, everybody's social will be down in the description. Please go like, share, and subscribe. Like and share and subscribe to this channel so you can get more gloving content. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed what we had to do here. I'm really excited to see it for next round. But of course, we'll see you guys next time.
And then like Attack on Titan reference right here, like specifically Bertolt just screaming Eren Yeager or something. I don't know.
Okay.